How you doing, everybody? This is the video tutorial on our wireless DMX box controllers. This is for controlling lights wirelessly without having to plug in DMX cables into your fixtures. Basic setup here, we have our MTech USB Pro dongle box. We have one side going into the computer and we're running Freestyler DMX software to control the lights. The other end has a cable coming out that goes into the back of our box. Now we have two boxes here. One is the transmitter that's going to send the signal out to the receivers that are going to control the lights. The other one we have set here as a receiver. The box that is taking the signal from your controller is going to be transmitting. And as you can see, there's a flashing red light and it says TXD, which is transmitting. Next to that there's a solid green light which says RXD. That's if you were receiving. Whatever is blinking is what state it's in. So right now we're blinking on transmitting. That means this is the transmitter. If you look here on this unit, the green LED is blinking, which means that we are receiving on this unit. Now let me take this power plug out. Actually, we'll leave this in. We'll just show you this up close. Okay, we have your LCD display, which shows a couple of different things. It shows R:2.423G. That means R means you're receiving. This is the receiver, so the R means it's receiving. 2.423G is the frequency that it's receiving on, 2.423 gigahertz. Now, the boxes will sync up with each other automatically when you plug them in, and they will find the strongest frequency signal to broadcast on, and they will lock in on that signal automatically. You don't need to do anything. It does it all by itself. Moving down to the second line, we see a P:0. That stands for the power output or the strength that you're transmitting. And then we have the ID, which is the group that this receiver or transmitter are transmitting or receiving on. With the DMX box, you have 16 groups, 0 through 9, and then A, B, C, D, E, and F. So a total of 16 groups. Now what does that mean, 16 groups? Manufacturer specs on this device says that you can have, for every one transmitter, you can have 7 of these, you can have 16 of these set as the receiver. What happens once you get done at 16 though, if you have more lights that you want to control wirelessly? Well, what you would do is, you would take another one of these units, plug it into the output, the DMX output of the last fixture in your DMX line. Set that unit as a transmitter and change the group ID to channel 2. I'm going to do that right now. There you go, channel 2, if you can see that. Now grab yourself another 16 units, set them as the receiver, and set them to channel 2, and now you've expanded your wireless capabilities. And you can do this 16 times as I stated, so 16 times 16, do the math, you can expand these systems quite a bit. Alright, now if we move over from the LCD display, we see a couple of other buttons and LEDs. We have your power button on off, that's pretty self-explanatory. We have your ID button, and that we just explained is going to change the group or the ID number that you're transmitting and receiving on. And then we have this button here that says PA. PA is the power amplitude of the signal you're sending, of that frequency, starting with P0. And basically you have 4 settings, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then it goes back to 0. If you can see that. 0, 1, 2, 3, back to 0. From 0 is the weakest, 3 is the strongest. It's basically going to boost your transmission signal, and this is important if you're in large convention halls or catering halls where there's a lot of radio or IR interference in the air, something that may interfere with the signal of the transmitter, such as steel beams in a ceiling, concrete walls that are reinforced with steel rebar, things that can interfere with the signal. So you would boost your signal if you were having trouble with the lights. As far as the frequency band that these transmit on, they go from 2.4 gigahertz to 2.52 gigahertz. And again, you can't and you don't have to select what frequency. The units will find the strongest signal they can lock on, the strongest frequency, lock on to that, and that's how they'll transmit. So that's the front of the unit. If we turn the unit around and look at the back, you'll see you have DMX in, DMX out. Now if this was a receiver, you would take the DMX out and plug it into your fixture. If this is the transmitter, you take the DMX in from your controller. You have the power jack where you plug in your power cord, and you have a removable antenna which just unscrews from the unit and can come off. We usually just fold the antenna down and leave these in a little suitcase. We also have on here metal tabs on both sides with slots cut in it, so you can mount this to a desktop or to an equipment case or to a wall, depending on how you're using these and where you're using them. So right now let's go back and set this to group 1, because that's what our transmitter is on. Now if you notice, the transmitter is transmitting on group 1. The receiver is set to group 2. And if you notice the green light, it's not really pulsing in beat with the transmitter. It's kind of spazzing out. That's because it's not receiving a signal right now. And the way you can also notice that, if you look right here on the display, there's no R for receiving, there's no T for transmitting, there's a dash, and that means that it's searching right now for a signal to lock on. But because nothing is transmitting on channel 2, it's stuck in the search mode. So now let's change our ID and go back to ID group 1. So A, B, C, D, E, F, 0. There's 1. Now watch the light. Now you see all of a sudden it's starting to pulse a steady green, and if you notice the rate of the pulse, it matches the transmitter, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your transmitter pulsing red and your receiver pulsing green at the same rate. And now while we've got the transmitter here, let's just take a closer look at that. The same unit. The only difference you're going to see on the display right now, because this is a transmitter, instead of an R on the top display, we have a T because we are transmitting. Again, look at the receiver unit. You see there's an R because it's receiving. The transmitter has a T because it's transmitting. We're transmitting on ID 1 or group 1. So that is the DMX wireless box. Pretty easy to use, pretty easy to control. They're very compact, and they're great even if you use them in combination with our DMX stick, and we are going to have another tutorial right after this which is going to cover how to use these in combination with our DMX wireless stick controllers. Until next time, this is Mike from Lumin Lights. If you have any questions or would like to place an order, please contact us, luminlights.com.